So hi guys, super quick video on how this works and what has changed. So like in your automation list here down there, you have Reactions Pro. As before, you need to select an account first. There's one additional thing we have now. If you have, many accounts, then sometimes it's really difficult to see what's running and what's not running. So there's now this button here, only active accounts, which will mean won't show the deactive accounts. Well, we're going to set this up right now. By the way, you can also search for an account here. Let's go into the account. The difference to before is, as I wrote very briefly, that before we could only select people, usernames to their followers and their likers. And it turns out that likers didn't work very well. Very slow Instagram on that one, and sometimes no answer. Plus, the reaction to that, for whatever reason, wasn't too good. What we have now additionally is hashtags and places, locations. And in both cases, it works like on all the other modules. Like if you select hashtags here, for instance, you just type a first word, let's say, for instance, luxury. And as soon as you type, it starts to search. Now, this takes sometimes a bit longer because it's Instagram. It comes from Instagram directly. The advantage is you immediately see, like, is this a big hashtag? And as you would expect, those are very big hashtags. So I click on it, it starts here. And then I can do the same thing for a location. Like my hometown is Vienna, Austria, and the same thing, or not the same thing. Should wait. What's happening? Where's Vienna? It doesn't like my Vienna. For whatever reason, it doesn't like my Vienna. I don't know. So you will see, and it can of course also put people in. So like let's see, whoever is called Thomas. Thomas, let's any use you know much better. But what I really recommend, you know that already, is to click on target lists and then enter but it needs to be the right username, and you can basically every parameter can be a different word. So it can be um, Thomas Mesen. I don't know whether you have an Instagram account like that, but let's try that. And a number of lists, and then click insert, and it will show them there. I'm not doing this. You can also copy the targets from one account to the other, so nothing has changed, just that the target list is much more, allows much more options here. The options here, the type of reaction to the stories are the same that you know. So poll, which means like, oh, do you like that? Do you don't like that? A poll slider, which is what do you think, like on a scale of 1 to 10, etc. Quiz, where people give you a certain number of possibilities and you can ask them. Answers. Now, when you click answers, before you had a box here, we've changed that, and I'll show you in a second how. Um, let me show you right now so you see. So it's not, you don't type them here. You have a separate tab here. You see that? Answers tab. So you go to the Answers tab. And the advantage is you can now say, like in the comment module, if you've looked at that, you can now type different answers to the questions, like great question, who, add message, or who knows, message. And you will see them appear down here. You can also add people's names. It's like in the comment module. So you can say bracket, username, sorry, curly brackets, great question. Yeah. And that will be replaced by the actual user's name. So that makes it a lot more personal. And of course, you can add in your emoji, etc. So that hasn't changed. And then after you've closed and you've done your answers, you of course have to save the whole thing. It also has a copy answers. So again, you can copy answers from one account to the other one. Now let's go back to the settings, which I forgot to save. So this is an error you shouldn't make. So you should always save them. Let's do it again. Let's say, okay, we have Thomas Mesen here. That's myself. I'll just type it in. So insert the account like this, and then they will come here. And again, you can do the same thing, but you can't do it at the same time. So if you want to do places, you can also do the list, but you have to do the places separate, the username separate, and the hash, because it has to know what it looked for. Luxury, for instance, which we had before, was a place as well. So now we go with Vienna, Austria. Let's see. Oh, I don't think that works. Sorry, my mistake. Because the places are numbers in. You would have to have that. So that doesn't work like that. You need to type them in here because when you look for a location, it will give you a list, and then whatever you take here will get a special number code here. So you cannot just type it in like that, unfortunately. But with hashtag, it does. With hashtag, we can do uh, luxury luxury travel, luxury home. Each hashtag is a separate line. So not for locations, but for hashtags. Yeah. And that's that. And then you can say enable filtration. Okay, so I don't want, for instance, to comment on people's story who have only, let's say, 50 or 20 followers, because these are just totally new accounts and I don't want to have them. So I will say here, I can put here 50 followers. And I also don't want to go for people who have like 1 million followers, because they will never follow me. So this doesn't make sense. It's actually probably a good idea to limit it already to 100,000. So not 1 million. Um, and then I can, and this is also new, say, okay, I only want to get news stories that have been posted an hour ago. And of course, the usual pause, and this is always something that's very important. You don't want to post 24 hours a day because then Instagram will recognize that you're a bot. So I can say, okay, I want to pause my bot from 8 o'clock in the evening to, and this is like a too small window, so we don't see this correctly, um, to like 7:30 in the morning. I put the status to active, I click save, and that's it. It's running. And then as before, you can see it's active here. As before, you will see the activity log and you will see it popping up. Right now, we only started, so it won't pop up. So that's it. I'll show you the HyperDM in a separate video so it doesn't get too long.